Here's a question for all of you. I'm going to ask each one of you to answer. We'd like you to describe the one incident that made you become interested in a career in IT.
So, for me, I did a little thinking about that. So I'm like, what's the one incident? And I guess I have to go back to college because I couldn't get into the business school at SMU, but they were delighted to have me in their new computer science engineering school. So that's kind of how I made my way into the IT. And I think the one thing I knew when I left, when I graduated, is I never wanted to be a software engineer. And so sales was an opportunity for me. I was much more comfortable in that and kind of made my entree into that. But quite honestly, it was by happenstance. And it's the beauty of the IT industry is it's given me so many opportunities and different ways to participate in the IT industry. But it was really kind of by accident. Just couldn't get into business school.
For me, it was much more of a need and a need to survive. My company, way back when my company was still on DOS, and I know that Windows was coming up, and I didn't have all the skills necessary for that, and my company wasn't ready to move. So I actually went and applied for a trainer position at CompTIA USA. I was telling John the story earlier, and the interview went something like this. Do you know software? No. Would you consider yourself a propeller head? No. Do you have a computer at home? No. And they said, well, I think we should hire you anyway, because I think you're really cool. So that's how I started at CompTIA USA as a part-time weekend trainer, to where I then transitioned to CompTIA USA full-time and became a professional trainer for companies like Honeywell and Blue Cross and many, many other companies. And I thought that teaching technology was very lucrative until I discovered selling technology was even more lucrative.
What's DOS?
Yeah. Nice try.
That's what I figured out with Echo and DOS.
I guess the gray hairs give away. For me, it was, there wasn't, quite frankly, it wasn't just one event. When I was growing up, my father was with IBM for 50 years, and he did security, privacy, identity. He was working with identity theft back in the 70s and 80s when nobody was really thinking about that. That's right. My father spent a lot of time on the road. He was away. He was traveling all over the globe, so he was always on the road. He was always on Monday through Friday, but he never let the family forget how much he loved them. He always reminded us that all the time he was spending on the road was because he was taking care of us. He never missed a baseball game. He never missed a play. He never missed an important family event. For me, there's no one critical moment. There's no one turning factor. I just wanted to follow the footsteps of somebody that I respect and admire.
So I think the incident for me had nothing to do with my parents, who actually are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. And to this day, they do not have an answering machine. They do not know about the concept of an ATM. So it had nothing to do with me seeing my parents using technology. They still use VHS tapes too, by the way, not CDs and DVDs. It's crazy. So they don't understand, even to this day, I don't think, what I do. But the turning point for me, again, in the situation that I was in, I don't know that I launched a career knowing I would go into IT. But the defining moment for me on IT, I was at 9 months at Gates Aero, and I remember I was trying to understand this whole concept of channel, B2B. I'm like, really? You take a manufacturer who prices a product, you send it through distribution, you price it again, you send it to a solution provider or a reseller, you price it again, and then somebody ultimately buys it? I could not understand how this was effective. So I was chosen to go on the road, my first road trip, and it happened to be in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was from Ohio, so they said, oh, we'll send Muriel and her parents up there, and she can go see her parents. So I thought that was kind of cool, right? So I was kind of a moderator to a very small regional road show for networking. And it was my first event live where I got to see the manufacturer, the reseller, the end customer, and the distributor all in the room at the same time. You know, you've got your product demos going on in the corner, and everybody gets up and does PowerPoint presentations. But it was the enthusiasm and the passion of that industry that I finally got to get out of the walls of corporate America and go see the channel in action. And I knew right then and there, I was done, I was whipped, I had to figure this out and was going to be there for a long time. And 17 years later, I'm still